All right. Hello, you guys. Sorry about that first one. Hopefully, this time the stream is working perfectly and volume is okay. I do see a little green bar down here, so maybe that means that the stream is working as intended. But I will go ahead and give you guys a couple minutes to just trickle in here. If you're new here, hey, my name is Lo. I make videos about self growth, development, women in tech, and personal vlogs of mine, just recounting my life, my travels, all that fun stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and just wait a couple seconds here for you guys to all trickle in. And again, if you're new here and you like this sort of content or are interested in seeing more content from me, go ahead and hit that subscribe button down below so that you get notified, and make sure you turn on notification bells as well so you get notified of when I start posting next, and see when I go live. I'm going to try and go live probably once a month, maybe more, if this is something you guys enjoy. So go ahead and hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit a like for the little doggy. She really appreciates it. She's very hyper this morning and wants to go, 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 go. I'm probably going to take her for a walk after this. But anyway, let's go ahead and get started. Today, we are going to do a Would You Rather travel edition. And if you've never heard of the game Would You Rather, basically what happens is you are given two prompts and you have to choose which you would rather do between the two of them. And this today is going to be all about travel or travel related. So I'm going to see if this is working now. So let's go ahead and get started. Very first question is, would you rather be able to understand and speak every language in the world, or would you rather be able to teleport anywhere at any time? Now, this is an interesting question because I've always said that if I had a superpower, I would love to be able to teleport or fly or something within that realm, be able to do that. And I think that would be great because I could travel to a bunch of different places whenever I wanted and hit a lot of places in a short amount of time. But if you go someplace and don't speak their language, you really are not connecting with them and getting a chance to learn more about them as a culture and a society. So for this one, I think I would choose being able to speak every language in the world and have to travel old school by plane, boat, foot, however you want to travel. So I think that's how I would do that one. I value communication and being able to understand people more than being able to get somewhere fast, even though it would be really cool to teleport and be able to get somewhere in the blink of an eye. That would be amazing because then I wouldn't need a car anymore. Who wants to drive? Public transportation. Save lots of money. Be great. Second one, would you rather travel first class anywhere but only stay in two-star hotels, or stay in five-star hotels but only fly in a middle seat in economy every time you fly? Ooh, this one's a hard one. So I think traveling first class would be nice, but it's only temporary. It's only for, a few hours, well, more than a few hours, depending on where you're going, but it's temporary. You're only on the plane for a short amount of time versus when you get to your destination, hopefully, if you're lucky, you are there for a significantly more amount of time than you are on the plane. So I think for this one, I would choose to stay in five-star hotels and stay in the middle seat every time I fly. I If it's domestic, I really don't mind sitting in the middle seat. If it's international, that's a little bit harder because if you wanna try and sleep, you're constantly being woken up to let people go to the bathroom and stuff like that. But I think I could make it work and live more luxuriously once I get to my destination. It's kind of it's kind of a reward in a way. So you have to work for your five-star hotel, but once you get to the five-star hotel, it's amazing. And hopefully they've got great service. You can get all the sleep you want the night that you get in. So I think for that one, I would choose to stay in five-star hotels, but fly in the middle seat every single time. Number three, would you rather travel back in time to meet your great great grandparents, or travel to the future and meet your great great grandchildren? So this one kind of related to travel, not really. This is theoretical time travel here, But I think for me personally, I would want to travel and meet my great great grandparents. In case you guys didn't know, I'm actually adopted. So I don't know any of my biological side of my family. Don't know my parents. I don't know if I have any siblings, grandparents, any of that sort. So I think it'd be really cool to go back and meet somebody that's biologically related to me. Not that it wouldn't, I mean, technically my great grandchildren would be biologically related to me as well, but I'd like to know kind of my ancestry, if you will. I think that would be really cool. And getting to meet your great great grandparents, not a lot of people can say they've done that. So I think that would be extremely fun. And you get to hear so much history about your family specifically, what they've been through, all the culture. I think that would be really, really cool. And meeting your great great grandchildren is pretty cool as well. For me, though, at this stage in my life, I'm not a big kids person. I feel very awkward around them, so I think I would find it much easier to be around my great great grandparents and have a conversation with them than to be around my great great grandchildren and feel a little bit awkward, I suppose. Okay, number 4. Would you rather spend a long haul flight stuck between 2 crying babies or 2 snoring men? Oh boy, this is really pick your poison here because neither of these are optimal at all. Um, 2 crying babies or 2 snoring men. I'm going to go ahead and say 2 snoring men because most like in my opinion, snoring is less noisy than crying babies and I will just put earplugs in. It doesn't say anything that you can't bring earplugs. So I'm going to go ahead and say that I will choose to use earplugs and sleep next to 2 snoring men because, in my experience, crying babies are a lot louder and a lot more annoying than 2 snoring people. So, gonna go ahead and go with that one. That was nice and short. Number 5, this has to do with seating again. Would you rather sit in a window seat every flight for the rest of your life or an aisle seat for the rest of your life? This one is a little bit easier, I think, than the one about sitting in the middle seat. I would definitely choose to pick the aisle seat because I often on flights have to go to the bathroom, and I always feel really bad about making my seatmates get up and move. If it's family members, then it's not as bad, or if it's somebody you know, but a complete stranger, especially when you have to go more than once, that is not fun for me. So I think I would choose to do the aisle seat so that I can go to the bathroom whenever I want. The only caveat to that is if, again, you're traveling internationally and you want to try and get some Z's, you're not going to be able to because you're going to constantly have to be getting up to go and let other people go to the bathroom. But again, hopefully you will be able to rest and recover once you get to your destination. So I think for that one, I would definitely pick the aisle seat. All right, so we're on to question 6 now. I just want to take a short little break, see how you guys are doing. How's everyone doing this morning? Hopefully, everyone is awake and ready to take on the day. I've got my coffee here. Hopefully, you guys have your coffee, tea, water, whatever you fancy. Um, yeah, I hope you guys have a great day today. If you have any plans, leave them in the chat below so that we can hear about them. Hopefully, you guys are going to have a productive day, whether it's at work or just lounging around or searching for new job opportunities, new jobs, new careers, new hobbies. I hope you guys are having a great day. So, on to number 6. Would you rather miss your flight or lose your baggage? Hmm. This is another one of those double whammies. Neither is optimal. I think for me, I would rather, well, no, maybe I would rather lose my baggage because normally, I guess this depends if you pay for trip protection, but normally you would get reimbursed for that. versus if you miss your flight. I'm assuming this is saying you miss your flight and it's not because the flight is canceled or anything from their side. This is your doing, is what I'm taking this as. If you miss your flight, you're not going to get reimbursed for that ticket. You basically lost out on all that money. So I think I'd rather lose my luggage because at that point, to me, it sounds like that was their fault. And hopefully, I have trip protection on it. So again, I would get reimbursed for that. I mean, depending on what's in your checked luggage, money can't always replace that, but at least you get something out of it, if you know what I mean. Missing a flight, you basically lose everything. You lose all the money, you lose the trip. It's just a hot mess. Plus, if you lose your luggage, most likely you're already in your destination and you can always buy things that you were missing before. So you can use that money that the airline gives you to then go out and buy new clothes. You can treat it as a little shopping spree, if you will. So I think that's what I would do. All right, number 7. Would you rather travel only domestically for the rest of your life or only travel internationally for the rest of your life and never see anything else in your own country outside the town, city you live in? Hmm. Honestly, for me, I feel like I would choose to travel internationally for the rest of my life and only get to see what's in my hometown. I don't wanna say America is boring per se, or the States are boring, because a lot of people do like to travel here, but for me, I just find international travel so much more interesting, and there's more things that I'm interested in seeing internationally. Maybe it's because I grew up in the States and I just don't have a desire to travel around the States, but for me personally, I don't really have a desire to domestically travel around the United States. I think I would rather go internationally and only be able to see things in my town or city that I live in. Because if you're talking about a city, that makes me think you can have a small radius because I don't live right in the middle of the city. I live in the suburbs of a city. So I could still go into the city if I'm reading this correctly. I could still go into the city and explore the city that I live in, the major city. I'm going to say this is the major city. So if you guys live in a rural town and your closest city is, I don't know, 30 miles away, I'm going to take this as you can still go visit that city. So for me, I think visiting the city and the town that I'm living in is more than enough for me to do here in my hometown, and I would rather go travel internationally for the rest of my life. All right, number 8. This one is not really related to travel as the actual action of traveling, but this is more of an experience once you get to your destination. Would you rather do a shark cage dive with great whites or skydive? Now, if you know me, you know that I am deathly afraid of heights. So I've always said I will never skydive. Never. You couldn't pay me $1 million to go skydiving because I'd probably die of a heart attack. Um, that being said, though, I also am not a big fan of sharks. I've heard, or maybe I've watched too many movies, too many TV shows, but I don't think it's very fun to be in a tank or an enclosed box submerged in water with great whites swimming around you, and you have literally no escape. No escape. Okay. That doesn't seem to be very ideal for me either. But if I had to pick between the two of them, I probably would do the shark cage diving with the great whites just because I'm so scared of heights. Literally, I just can't get over my fear of heights. Even going up a ladder is too scary for me. I have to make somebody else do it for me because I'm like, nope, nope, too high. All right, number 9. Would you rather get stuck on a boat for a week, but you can swim with no land in sight, or be stuck in a basic cabin for a week, but not be able to leave? Now, some of these questions I will say are pretty gray area. So, for example, in the cabin, are you limited to only having what's in the cabin. Are you allowed to bring things to the cabin? Are you allowed to have technology? Do you have internet? Do you have water? Do you have electricity? It's not very clear as to whether or not you have these things. I'm going to go ahead and assume that you have all your amenities and there's no limit to what you can have or bring with you. In this case, I probably would say stay in a basic cabin for a week and not be able to leave. Because honestly, a boat is a lot well, I guess a boat and a cabin, depending on how big the cabin is, are more or less the same, but I feel like everything on a boat is a lot smaller than what you would get even in a basic cabin. So, I probably would choose to stay in a cabin because most likely too, you'll have access to all your amenities, you'll have connections so you can still talk to people versus on a boat, most likely you're not gonna have any signal, so you're really gonna be with you, yourself, and you, or maybe whoever you're traveling with, if that's the case. But I think for this one, it'd be much easier to stay in a cabin. And honestly, I don't really mind being with myself. I think it's great for retrospection and introspection and just getting to know you a little bit better, reflecting. Everyone should take a week or a couple days or even a couple hours just to be with yourself and reflect on how your life is going, how you're doing, how your mental health is, and reflect just on life in general. I think it's really good to take that time to appreciate what you've been given and where you can improve. I think that really is something that everyone should do in their life at least once or twice. Number 11, would you rather never be able to fly again or never be able to take a boat again? So, this is related to transportation again. Honestly, I probably would say never take a boat again because honestly, when do you ever need to travel by boat? Most places that you travel by boat could be reached by air, whether that be a plane, a helicopter, a little mini plane. There's not too many places that I know that you cannot reach by air. I guess there are a couple places that are limited to just being boats because they're just too tiny to have an aircraft fly in. But that being said, I think the majority of places you want to go, you can be reached by air, and by air is a hell of a lot faster than by boat. So I think I would rather fly than use a boat. There's also that aspect of kind of the deep sea and I guess getting lost at deep sea, which there are definitely fears of flying as well with all that's happening in the world today. But malfunctions with the airplane, the plane going down, that sort of thing. That's definitely a real concern. But I feel like being on a boat and the prospect of getting lost at sea, the technology malfunctioning, the ship sinking, and me just being on there, just no, that's just too scary. I wouldn't do that. All right. So we are at 18 minutes here. I could continue to go on and do some more questions for you guys if you're interested. If you guys want to get off, feel free to get off or let me know in the comment section below if you guys are kind of had enough of this. Would you rather? If you've got any questions for me on Would You Rather, it doesn't have to be related to travel, but if you've got any questions for me, go ahead and drop them in the chat below. I'd be happy to answer them for you. And again, if you haven't already, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and like this video so that you get notified of your next of my next content. Someone's asking, can you do a trip video preview? What do you mean by trip video preview? Are you talking about of my last trip that I did or showcasing what I'm going to be doing? I'm not really of your Europe vacation. So, I unfortunately can't show a video. Oh, what I will be doing. I see. Well, actually, I've already been to Europe, so this has already happened, but I'll give you a brief overview of what we did. I can give you guys a preview of what I'm going to be doing in Japan next year. But the European trip has already happened, and if you haven't already seen the travel vlogs that I posted on Rome, go ahead and check those out. They it was really fun in Rome. Not as walkable as we thought it was. So, note to you guys traveling to Rome, if you think you can walk or drive around Rome, you're wrong. You can't. It's impossible. You're going to have to either take taxis, public transportation, Uber, something like that. Some places are walkable, but majority of the places are not. So just keep that in mind. But Rome was really I've been to Rome before, but I was very young when I went to Rome last time, and I think this time around it was much more inspiring, and getting to hear the culture and actually have an interest in it was pretty amazing. I definitely enjoyed myself a lot more this time. I felt like I absorbed a lot more information. I was able to appreciate it more as well. Again, when I went the last time, I was a little bit younger and wasn't that into history or appreciate or being able to appreciate the culture that I was in. I was just kind of like, okay, I'm in Rome. That's cool. I can check it off my box list or whatever and move on. I was also injured at the time. I had a broken foot, so that happened too. But we were in Rome for 4 days, and we hit things like the Pantheon, Trajan's Market, the Vatican, the Colosseum. We went to the catacombs and we saw the crypts as well. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to film in the crypts and the catacombs just because it's prohibited. They're more of a sacred site, so I wasn't allowed to actually film in any of those places. So I don't have any footage from those, but we saw a lot of great things. We went to Pompeii as well, and we got to climb up Mount Vesuvius, which I've never done before, which is pretty cool. It was very hard. I was not expecting it to be as hard as it was, but I mean, you are climbing up a literal mountain, so I don't know what I was thinking, but it was definitely a workout for sure. If you ever decide to climb up Mount Vesuvius, highly recommend taking good walking shoes and maybe bringing a walking stick. Just saying. Then we spent a day traveling from Rome to Berlin, and we actually had to do a layover in Frank. No, we did a we did a layover in Munich. We went to Munich, and then we went to, Berlin because you couldn't get a straight shot from Rome to Berlin, if you will. So, we did that, and we spent another 4 days in Berlin. Berlin was very different from Rome in terms of just the feel and the atmosphere. It felt more like here in the States in Berlin than it did in Rome. I didn't feel like I was in such a foreign country when I was in Berlin, aside from obviously the language, and the food was a little bit different, but it was more akin to what we have here in the States. So, if you're ever thinking of traveling abroad but are worried about the culture shock, I think Germany is a great place to start because, again, it was more like how it is in the States, and you don't have as much culture shock as if you do when you go to someplace like Italy or Japan or something like that. Even the rules of the road in Germany are very good, much more like the States, whereas in Rome, there really is no rules of the road. Literally, anybody does whatever they want. So, if you're planning on traveling abroad but are scared of the culture shock, definitely try Germany or Canada, maybe. Canada's probably gonna be the easiest one to do, but Germany is definitely a next step up, I would say. We had a lot of fun. We went to the Charlottenburg Palace, which was pretty interesting. I wasn't really sure I was gonna like that, but it actually was pretty interesting to see the Persian what was the country? I think it was the I don't remember. I don't think it was Persia, but, oh, Prussia. Prussia, there you go. It was the Prussian Empire, seeing their culture, their history. From my knowledge, I don't think I learned much about Prussia in school, so I actually didn't even know anything about the Prussian Empire, but it was one of the big kind of not empires, but leaders, clans, if you will, in that era. So it was interesting to see their palace and the history of the Prussian Empire, even though it was kind of short lived in terms of empires, if you will. We also went to a concentration camp, which was extremely humbling. I wasn't sure what I was going to expect from something of that nature, but it really was an eye-opening and humbling experience just to be in that site where so much devastation happened, and being able to just reflect on how far we've come as a society and as globally. I think if anyone has a chance to visit a site like that, they really should. I know it's hard to visit something like that. It's got a lot of, mixed memories and mixed reactions, but I think it's really important that we learn about that stuff so that we don't forget where we've come from and where we need to go. So, that being said, if you can ever visit a concentration camp, highly recommend doing it. The tours that we took were through Tour Berlin, I believe it was, and they did a great job of dealing with such a hard topic like that. And I think they might go to a couple different concentration camps. We went to Sachsenhausen, was the one we went to, and it's just outside Berlin. It was actually outside Berlin. It wasn't in the city of Berlin, so we had to buy a separate train ticket to go outside of Berlin, which I thought was pretty interesting. The train tickets were not just universal. Okay, you get on the train and go wherever you want. There's actually within Berlin train tickets, and then when you get outside Berlin, there are separate train tickets. So that was pretty interesting. We also did a walking tour of Berlin where we got to see the major sites of Berlin, including Hitler's supposed resting place, which was literally a park. It's just a little tiny plot. No, it's not even a park, it's a parking lot. It's literally a little tiny parking lot, and supposedly Hitler's bunker is underneath there, and that's where he supposedly passed away. So, that was interesting, the Führer's bunker. That was really cool. And then we just kind of walked around Berlin. We got to try currywurst for the first time, which was sounds kind of weird. I know. Just hear me out though. It was actually really, really good. It's one of Berlin's most famous foods. It's something you can only really get in Berlin. It's a Berlin food, if you will. I think that was surprisingly good. And I guess when you go there, you have to be careful because there's either really good or really bad. There's nothing in between. So you have to make sure you find a place that's really good. Otherwise, you are going to be very disappointed. Luckily, our tour guide was able to give us a good recommendation of two places that were very good, and we selected one of the two, and it ended up being really good. So, yeah. Got someone trying to call me here. I don't even know who that's from. All right. Well, anywho, so that was kind of our trip to Europe. We kind of crammed a lot of things into a short amount of time, but I feel like when you travel abroad, you have to almost cram as much as you can in because you're only there for a little bit and you never know when you're going to go back. Hopefully we will go back, but with the cost of travel and trying to take time off, you never know when you're going to go back. So I think it's important to try and get as much in as you can. If you wanted to go on a vacation for pure relaxation, you could go somewhere a lot closer to home. If you're going to be traveling somewhere internationally, it's definitely in your best interest to go ahead and experience the culture, the history as much as you can in that time span that you are there for. Your feet may hurt and they may bug you for a while, they may hate you, but it's definitely worth it. So, with that being said, we are almost at a half hour now. Are you guys getting tired? Are you wanting to continue? I could do more would you rather questions, or we could go ahead and wrap up here. Do you have any more questions for me during this time that we have here together? If there are no more questions, I might go ahead and end it here just because we are coming up on the half hour and I know everyone is super busy and have other things they need to do today. And I'd like to respect that time for you guys and give you some time to, again, enjoy your morning before you get started with your day. And yeah. All right. So it sounds like you guys are ready to hop off. So I will go ahead and say goodbye. Nugget is also going to say goodbye. Say goodbye, Nugget. Goodbye. All right. We're going to go take her outside because she has not peed yet this morning. So we will go ahead and do that. And I will catch you guys in the next video. If you haven't already, again, go ahead and subscribe and turn on notifications so you get notified of my next video. And if you like this sort of content, maybe I'll consider going live more often. Otherwise, I will try and go live probably once a month and do something like this where just to get to know me, chit chat, talk about life in general, just a behind the scenes type of thing. So, again, if you liked it, go ahead and let me know, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.